responsibility that we have in choosing a text also gives us a certain kind of warning against the way that we ought to do that. In choosing a text, don't choose one because you saw something helpful or good in someone else's sermon. Sometimes that sparks us, but we don't want to be copyists. The use of commentators can be used very well before we compose our sermons, but not before we have considered and arranged our own sermon. We need to do the work. Deal with the text and the subject yourself, writing down whatever strikes your mind after you have found out what the intention and meaning of the passage is. After having arranged what is written, settle your plan, settle your outline, and exhaust all of your own resources in thinking about the text yourself. Then after all of this, then check your work, as Bridges says, to see if what you have considered is what ought to be considered. Trying to work through original sources of your mind requires a great amount of consideration on your part, and you should guard that work jealously. There's no greater hindrance to solid learning in biblical preaching than to make use of other men's resources and neglect your own. Simply, don't check other sources until you have outlined your sermon. Constantly labor to gain an original composition first. Otherwise, you are not preparing a sermon, but rather you are arranging another's sermon into a new form.